You know, Christy, something happened a long time ago in Haiti, and people may not want to talk about it. They were under the heel of the French, you know, Napoleon III and whatever. And they got together and swore a pact to the devil. They said, we will serve you if you'll get us free from the French. It's a true story. And so the devil said, okay, it's a deal. And they kicked the French out. You know, the Haitians revolted and got themselves free. But ever since, they have been cursed by one thing after the other, desperately poor. That island of Hispaniola is one island. It's cut down the middle. On the one side is Haiti, on the other side is the Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic is prosperous, healthy, full of resorts, etc. Haiti is in desperate poverty. Same island. They need to have, and we need to pray for them, a great turning to God. And out of this tragedy, I'm optimistic something good may come. But right now, we're helping the suffering people, and the suffering is unimaginable.
Absolutely, Pat.
All right, everybody, this is the Paragon Hour, along with your host, Paragon, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. Émelyne, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Émelyne Museaux. I'm here with on Blog Talk Radio, and I'm so excited about our interview.
All right. Well, let me give some of our listeners a little bit of background about me, about you. Well, you're going to talk about yourself and about this show in particular. Basically, I'm an atheist and I'm Haitian, which are two things which are minorities inside minorities. I mean, this is it's a very rare combination. Upon going to the South Florida regional atheist meetup, I was sitting next to James Randi, who is a famous magician, and as I was on the table, I was thinking to myself, wow, you know, I'm the only black person there at the table, and even more, I was the only Haitian person there. And then it just struck me that I don't know too many Haitian atheists. So I kind of expressed that, and I told the people on the table that, you know, basically our culture is so religious it's not even funny, and that it would take a lot of work to kind of discuss some of the issues that we were discussing at the atheist meeting, and that somebody should do something about it. And then I thought to myself that maybe I was that somebody. So after a few weeks of deliberation, I decided to start small, and by creating a group on Facebook called Haitian Freethinkers. And I thought about the name as well, because a lot of people get caught up in titles, you know, whether you're an atheist or agnostic or secularist or humanist or whatever, non-believer, freethinker. So I chose a term that fits a lot of different perspectives. And so I told myself that I'd be lucky if I get 10 people, and right now we're about at 11. So I already met my goal. But it was during that conference that I saw a young lady, which I thought I recognized from Facebook, and it ended up being my guest tonight. And she was gracious enough to join me to talk about her perspective and how she became an atheist and everything. But I mean, I don't want to take too much time. I just want to let Émelyne tell us a little bit about herself. So go ahead, Émelyne.
Well, I'm 26 years old. I was born in Haiti. I was born in Cap Haitien. And I came to the United States with my mother when I was 6 years old. And, you know, her family is predominantly Catholic. And the few members that are not Catholic are Baptist. There's a few Seventh-day Adventists, and recently there are a few Mormons. But everybody is a Christian, whether they are devout or they, you know, only go sometimes. Everyone claims Christianity as their religion. There are no atheists. There are no agnostics in the family. Nothing of the sort. And when I've always had like doubts about religion, but growing up, especially growing up, being young in Haiti and then growing up in a Haitian family, the idea of not believing in God never occurred to me. The idea that there existed people who did not believe didn't occur to me. And it was only when I got older that I knew that there were even people that weren't Christian, that there were other religions. So it was when I had my deconversion, as I like to call it, and fell away from religion, or started to fall away from religion. I was in, the later part of my 24th year, and I claimed myself as an atheist around age 25.
Wow.
That's when I told, members of my family, and I told my friends, yeah.
Okay. So that answers my first question. I have, a list of questions for you. So the question is, what is your position on religion? And you said that you're an atheist. Can you kind of develop that a little bit more? I mean, what does that mean for those who don't know?
Well, an atheist is simply a person that does not believe that any god or gods exists, and that's exactly what it means to me. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Yahweh. I don't believe in Allah, and I don't believe in any of the other gods that most Christians don't believe in. And I think it's not that great of a stretch, especially for a monotheist who doesn't believe in so many other gods that people have worshipped throughout history, to simply cease believing in one more. And regardless of the emotional reasons that people have that they're wrapped up in their religions, there is no more proof for any of the gods of monotheism than there is for the gods of pantheism or polytheism.
Okay.
I just don't believe in any gods, and that's what it is. That's what my atheism is. I don't believe in something that I cannot tangibly see, hear, touch, smell, or even prove.
Okay, so the second question is then, how did you become an atheist? Was there a process?
It was a very, very long process, yes. I think the moment I became a skeptic, and this is one of my earliest memories of childhood too, was when I was 9 years old. I was incredibly devout when I was a Catholic. Even as through my early 20s, I went to Mass 5 times a week at least. I was in the church choir. I taught Vacation Bible School. I volunteered with 2 different youth groups.
Did you say that you taught school, Bible school?
I taught Vacation Bible School, yes. Every summer my church had Vacation Bible School for a week, and I was the volunteer teacher for the 5th graders. And so I was very involved in my church life. I even worked for my church as a receptionist the very same year that I became an atheist.
Okay.
So when I was 9, that was my first moment of skepticism, and that was when I told my mother that I wanted to be a priest when I grew up. And she said that women couldn't be priests. And when I asked why not, she didn't have an answer ready, and she didn't have the Bible ready, and she just said to ask the priest at our church. And when I asked him, he thought for a moment after, laughing and kind of like in a really patronizing way. And he said, well, Jesus didn't have any female apostles, so that's why you can't have any female priests. And at the time, it made sense, but all I could ask was why. And that was my first moment of skepticism. And so as I grew older, I became more and more religious, but I also became more and more skeptic. I took the Bible less and less literally as I grew older, and that just, that led to more and more and more and more confusion and more problems. The day, though, that I realized I was an atheist, it happened very innocently. I was at home and I was bored, and I was watching a movie. And I even remember the movie. It was a French film called Irreversible. And in the movie, there's a scene where the main character, the female, gets raped, and it's pretty brutal. But what's scary about it is that right before the assault takes place, you see that there's a man in the background who sees what's going to happen, and he can prevent everything. But he takes in the situation, and then he merely walks away. And I was watching the movie, and I was in tears, and then a kind of light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, God does this every single day.
Right.
He walks away from people that are about to be raped and murdered every single day. What's more likely, that any person can see all the thousands of murder and rape victims daily and not do anything about it, or that this person just doesn't exist?
We actually have someone on the line, area code 708. Let's take a quick question real quick. 708, you're live real quick?
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Hi, my name is Gayasi Ngozi.
Hi.
Hey, I wanted to ask a quick question. Now, when you guys say that you are atheists, are you atheists against the Abrahamic concepts of God, as far as Allah and Jehovah and those fictitious characters, or are you just atheists universally in the sense that there is no energy force that animates matter?
I think you are transposing two different thoughts. I do believe that there's energy that transposes matter. Our biology is proof of that. However, I don't believe that our existence is the fault or the creation of any gods, and not just the Abrahamic gods, but any of those gods. There's no proof, more or less proof, for any of those gods. I don't know what it is that is responsible for our existence, but just because we don't know doesn't mean that we have to put God into that idea, because being comfortable with the wrong answer is why so many people are in the position that they're in. Religion has stopped the advancement of science in so many ways because religious people are comfortable with the wrong answer. And the more we say we don't know and seek out the answers to the questions we don't know, then the easier it is for us to advance in this world and find out more about our bodies and the world around us.
Well,
what's your name again, sir?
My name is, they call me Ngozi for short, but Gayasi Ngozi.
Ngozi. Okay, yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Proceed.
I just wanted to say, well, if you study African traditional spirituality back towards the Anim system that they believed in at one time, or you go into Yoruba, or you go into ancient Kemet, the concept of the highest degree, because they didn't have gods. That's European. God is German. It means to invoke. They had the forces of nature, whether it's Orisha or Neteru in ancient Kemet. And the highest degree of the concept of this force was called Amun, or Amen, which means hidden, unknowable in ancient Egypt. In Nigeria, the Ludumadi, which means sky, or Olurum, which is symbolic to mind. So Africans never believed in the concept of a fictitious God. We believed in the forces of nature around us. And modern science today, I am a scientist myself. If you study, whether it's astrophysics, biology, or chemistry, it matches up what Africans has always been talking about, except back then we used mythology to explain life to the best of our ability.
Okay, well, my response to that is merely this. I don't think that there is any such thing as a physical, tangible person, thing, object that is unknowable. There are things we don't know, but that doesn't mean that they're unknowable. Saying that something is unknowable and it has some supernatural energy or entity attached to it is more of that same mindset that keeps people trapped. If you don't know something, you can know. And if you don't figure it all out in your lifetime, what you have learned is enough to be a great foundation for someone else to build upon in the next lifetime. This is why every generation has more to build on than the last, and there are scientists constantly expounding on and elaborating on scientific theories. But to say something is unknowable, as in I will never know, is just a hindrance, and it's the lazy man's easy way out. Instead of finding that knowledge, let's just say we'll never know, and it's unknowable.
Well, science lets you, I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Paragon. I appreciate your call. I'm going to have to let you go only because I wanted this to be an interview process for Émelyne, and I know that you're bringing some good information forward, but because of time's sake, I'm going to let her proceed, and hopefully maybe she can come back on, and we would love to have you back. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your call.
All right,
Thanks.
Thank
you. I just wanted to get that person on because I wasn't expecting a lot of calls, but we were talking about how you became an atheist, and that was a rape scene from the movie.
The movie was called Irreversible, and it's actually the one movie that I've seen that I know I will never ever want to watch again. And like I said in the movie, it was just so disturbing. It was so disturbing that, and when I thought of what this man did in the movie, how he could have prevented something tragic from occurring and chose not to, it just clicked in my head. I mean, even if this was a stranger, if I saw this happening to someone, I would try to help. And if there was something broken in me that I did not help, if I saw it 2 or 3 times, it certainly would have an impact on me. And the idea that there are gods or a God out there watching this and doing nothing is preposterous. The idea that this guy who watches and does nothing is loving is even more preposterous. The idea that he is loving and watching and doesn't interject and interfere in these situations because he respects our free will so much is even more ridiculous.
Okay. The next question is, how is religion handled in the Haitian culture?
I think religion is handled extremely badly in the Haitian culture, and I'm not saying that merely because the Haitian culture happens to have religion. I'm saying it because in the Haitian culture, religion just is. It infects and permeates every aspect of the culture, and it is treated as something that is inescapable. You teach your children about Jesus, and it's just known that they will be a Christian, and they will never question Christianity, ever. And there is a certain hypocrisy underlying the religion of Haiti. There's the assumption that you raise your kids a certain way, and that's just it, and we don't question anything. And that culture of we can't and we shouldn't question anything is incredibly dangerous, especially to a nation like Haiti that has dealt with so many ups and downs, has had so many changes, and the people are so set in their ways and self-destructive patterns that are ruining the country. Okay. And the idea that you can't or you shouldn't question anything is dangerous. Okay. Because it leaves people open to be exploited by the string of really crooked dictators that Haiti has had that have exploited the island. Okay. How do you feel about the way Haitians and other people are remembering the earthquake? I think everyone remembers how Pat Robinson said that, Haiti was getting what it deserved for making a quote-unquote pact with the devil. And, relief came, and it was handled badly. And I remember the day of the earthquake was actually my first day at work as receptionist at my old church. And I remember the very next day they had a mass for Haiti. They took collection for Haiti, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, now that after Haiti, started to settle down and recoup from the earthquake, it was like, oh, yes, thank God for helping Haiti. And in my mind, all I'm thinking is where was this God when this happened? Exactly. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't a matter of free will. This wasn't something one man was doing to the other. So you couldn't fall back on that very convenient excuse. This was nature, the ground that God created, rebelling against the people. Okay. And disrupting their homes and taking their lives. So where was this God then? And it happened, it's the same with the earthquake in Turkey and the earthquake in Japan. It was just ridiculous how it was being handled. And I looked at Japan after the earthquake, the kindness and the charity that these people, these seculars, showed each other so much more than the Christians of Haiti. And the way they took responsibility for recuperating after that and not getting down on their knees and praying to some invisible being to help them. Did you hear about one of the religious guys said that Japan got hit by earthquake because their nation committed a whoredom with some goddess? The emperor used to have sex with the goddess, but that's something else. So we'll proceed. Yeah. With the question. there's so much ridiculousness involved in it, and when I hear rational adults spout fairy tales like this, it really makes me fear for the future of the human race, because it just seems like we are de-evolving socially.
Right. What about this? How does education affect religiosity?
I think the less education a person has, the greater inclined they are to not only have a religion but cling to it fervently. What I mean by that is, and the Bible supports me, because there is a verse in Proverbs that says, "Rely not on thine own understanding, but out of every word spoken by the Lord your God."
What about
AKA the Bible. So it's basically telling people, don't trust your own brain.
Yeah.
Trust what this book says.
And I
think the least educated people are, the more inclined they are to be religious.
What about doubting Thomas when he showed Jesus showed them proof and said that the people that don't see but yet still believe are going to be like special or blessed or whatever. But
that didn't bother me so much as the fact that at the end of the day, he gave Thomas proof. In this story, Thomas got his proof. Right. And so whenever a Christian or a Muslim or whomever says to me, you need to trust in the higher power, you need to trust in God, and, you don't need proof, that's what faith is for. And I say, you know what? If your Jesus is real, or your God, fill in the blank, is real, he knows my mind because he's omniscient. He knows exactly what I need to believe. And he can give me that evidence. Until he does, I won't believe. It's that simple.
Okay. What about this one? How critical or skeptical are Haitians in general?
Not very at all. I think Haitians are incredibly critical and skeptical of other Haitians, like outside their family. They're very critical and skeptical of other nationalities and other religions. But when it comes to Christianity, it's almost as it's this really, really ingrained taboo not to question it. And if you question it, to do so silently, and to never openly criticize Christianity, and never openly criticize for Catholics the Pope, and never really openly criticize religious doctrine, no matter how nonsensical or harmful it might be.
Okay. All right. That has been my experience as well. I must say, I've lived the experience, but we'll proceed. So, what are some practical uses of science in critical thinking that you think Haitians could benefit from?
Honestly, and this was I responded to a post on Black Nonbelievers about this, about an atheist who said that he didn't really care for the sciences. And for me, scientific knowledge doesn't really matter to be an atheist. Critical thinking, however, does. And we, according to the Bible, are flawed. And I'm a human being. I know that we have our faults. But the bottom line is we have these five senses. And we have, unless you're missing one for whatever reason, we have these five senses, and we have our mind and all the information that we take in. These are the only tools that we have to navigate the world. These are the lenses that we use to experience the world around us. And I think if more people relied on what they know and what they can experience is real and what they know to make sense, we'd have less religious people. Because most of the things in the Bible are not physically possible.
Okay.
Oh, there's tons of contradictions in the Bible. There are tons of circumstances of things occurring that just cannot happen in the physical world. And this is not just the Bible. These what I'm talking about contradictions and nonsensical garbage, this takes place in the Torah, the Quran, all the Hindu holy books. It takes place in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, all the African gods, the Norse gods, the Greek gods, you name it. This irrationality and this break with reality is evident in all of them. These are fairy tales for adults. Instead of the inconvenient truth that we don't know everything, that our lives will come to an end. We won't live forever. People want the comforting lie that everything we don't know is known by someone greater than us, that there's someone always watching over us, that there is no death. There is a life that goes on forever, and that if you worship fill-in-the-blank God hard enough, you'll be special to him, her, them, it. It's ridiculous. I think if more people would stop suspending logic every time they are faced with the question of religion or gods, the better off we'd all be. My mindset is to question everything and don't be satisfied with half answers, platitudes, apologetics. There's only one answer, and that's the real one.
Yeah. What special challenges do you find that we as Haitian atheists face?
Well, it's small, but it's big at the same time. In Creole, there's the word chrétien.
Right.
Which means Christian. But depending on the context, it also means human being.
Okay.
And I think the intermingling of this term is one of the greatest social constructs built around a religion ever created. The idea that if you say you are not a Christian, you are, in Creole anyway, you're simultaneously saying that you're less of a person or you're not a person, is a blow. Because you understand there's a lot of supernatural, superstitious thinking in the Haitian culture. Even those that don't worship a god believe in some sort of supernatural mumbo-jumbo. They practice voodoo or they intermingle it with some religion. And this is why, especially as a Haitian, saying that you're not a Christian, that you don't believe in God, is you might as well say that I'm a demon and I worship the devil.
Okay. How active should we be to promote our cause, and what is the most efficient way to go about it?
Haitians are a very loud, rambunctious, argumentative people. I don't think we should be out on the streets with signs in Creole telling people, don't go to church or read the Bible for yourselves for once or anything like that. I think it's more important that we are open with the people in our lives about the fact that we are atheists, and they see that we don't sacrifice children, we don't worship the devil, we don't have a special shrine to him in our closets, and that a person can have a good life and not suffer any curses or the wrath of God because they are an atheist.
Okay. We have about 90 seconds left, but we still have some more questions to ask, but I want to thank you again for showing up. We had 2 callers call in, and I had to turn one away because of time, and I wanted to give you your time, but I believe we'll get some overtime, so we'll see. We'll just continue until the program kicks us off, because I'm having a really good time learning about your thought process. The next question I wanted to ask is, what obstacles that Haitians in Haiti face versus those that are not? I mean, I would think of we have access to information and others don't, but what kind of obstacles that Haitians back at home face that,
Well, besides, educational, financial, career opportunities that Haitians abroad have that Haitians in Haiti don't, like I said, when I was in Haiti, the idea that there were people who didn't believe in God never occurred to me. I didn't know that such a thing existed. It was just like that rare pink unicorn. I think if more Haitians were actually even exposed to the idea that a person cannot believe in a God or be challenged with the question of does a God exist or like your God exists, and they were able to have access to the sort of information that atheists here and abroad have, it would make such a dramatic impact and maybe finally sever that rotting umbilical cord that's attaching Haitians to the Christian faith and religious faith in general. I mean, this faith was beaten into the backs of our ancestors, and for some reason, African diaspora cling to Christianity like a life preserver when it's really the cast iron that's dragging them down. And this is not just Haitians. This is diaspora everywhere.
Right.
Cling to Christianity. It's not the savior. It's the problem.
Right.
It's the problem of so many issues that we have within the Haitian culture and black culture at large.
I totally understand, and of course I agree. I mean, I wish I could jump in and spark. But what do you think? What effect does language play in conveying the arguments for atheism in respects to the Haitian culture?
As far as making an argument, I don't think language is too much of a barrier. But I think being able to, like, let's say, watch atheist YouTube videos or read an atheist blog or read a book by an atheist, it's obviously language is going to play a barrier because hardly any of those books or podcasts or blogs are in Creole or French. However, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, the fastest way for anyone to become an atheist is to read Scripture, and I'm not just talking Bible, but all holy books in their entirety by yourself. Don't have the priest, pastor, deacon / con man read you excerpts that make you feel good on Sundays and skim over the passages that, are a little less savory. Actually read those books in their entirety to yourself, and you will see that there are nonsensical and contradictory and many times physically impossible events happening, and that the God or gods depicted therein are egomaniacal, narcissistic, jealous, infanticidal, genocidal, and basically portray all the worst aspects of man.
Right.
And this God is in absolutely no way omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent, or omnipresent. There's just no way.
Okay.
This God is a God that man made in his image, and he personifies all the very worst attributes of the very worst men that have walked our planet.
Okay. Well, we are in overtime now. I believe that this bit will still be recorded, so I've never gone this far deep into overtime. We have about 11 minutes left, so everything that you discussed, I pretty much know. So for me, it's preaching to the choir. We had Ngozi, I believe his name was, call earlier to tell us about some African spiritual aspects, and to be quite honest, I'm not familiar with that, but I mean, it'll take a long time to learn all the different religions.
I mean, I'm mildly familiar with it, but in my mind, it's what he was talking about. It kind of reminds me of something a Catholic told me, where he said, God exists because you exist. It's a part of you. And I'm repelled by that very notion that some supernatural being is a part of me. I don't have enough arrogance to think that I or anyone else house the supernatural entity within ourselves. And I'm not content to believe that there is anything in our world that's unknowable. There are tons of things that we know now that 200 years ago, even 50 years ago, people didn't know and thought we would never know, but we learned because there was someone who wasn't content to sit by and fold their arms and say, it's unknowable, it's that higher being, it's that higher energy, or it's that higher power. And we learned and we found out exactly what it was. And our world is a natural world. Human beings have a complex mind and a deep psychology, and we experience complex emotions. Okay. But the idea that we have this supernatural entity or this super energy is just basically self-aggrandizing and trying to make us seem more special than we are in our own narcissism.
Okay. Well, I plan on keeping up with the Haitian Freethinkers group online, and basically my thoughts are to basically try my best with my Creole, which is not the best in the world, to transmit as much as I can, because I realize that I think I'm filling a void that not just me. I can like take a torch or anything, but anybody could do it. That's in our group. I during the atheist meeting, basically, it was said that basically we want to get more people to come out the closet in America and other places. In Europe and in Japan, this is not a big deal. But in Haitian culture and in some parts of America, it is. One of the questions that I'm always asked, and I want to ask you is what's the harm? What's the bad thing about religion? Because it gives people hope. As you may or may not know, a lot of people are praying for the victims of the earthquake, which we may not think is useful, whatever. But it gives people quote unquote hope. What's the harm in religion today?
I think the greatest harm in religion is what you just spoke of right now, this hope, this false hope. False hope is about as useless as a flashlight with no batteries in the dark, okay? When people are in a situation where they are facing pain and they are facing death and they are facing injury and they are hopeless and they don't know what to do, they need action and they need a reality. They need real help. Prayer is just a way of doing nothing and convincing yourself that you are doing something. Basically, it's a way of making yourself feel better about a situation outside of your control rather than thinking and trying to proactively solve your problem. Beyond that, the problem is in religious scripture itself. Abrahamic scripture is written in a way that is so morally ambiguous that anyone can use it to justify virtually anything they want. I can justify beating my kids to death if they disobey me because God said that stoning disobedient kids was okay. I can justify drowning my kids in a bathtub because God drowned all his kids in a great flood when they were bad. There's a lot of horrendous behavior that you can justify. If I kill someone and say God told me to do it, why am I any less crazy than Abraham or Jephthah, who sacrificed his daughter because he promised to sacrifice the first being that came out of his house when God let him win a war?
You sure that she didn't become a nun? Whatever they try to get out of it by saying.
No, that's not what happened. She came out of the house when he came home from war. And he said, oh, no, why is it you that came out of the house? And he gave her 3 months to mourn her virginity and the fact that she would never marry and have children. And then after that, he sacrificed as a burnt offering to God. Now, Christians can say that because of Jesus, we don't have to sacrifice people anymore. And that was the law. The only law that Jesus came to abolish was the blood sacrifices and the burnt offerings. But is it really any less logical and asinine and ludicrous and dangerous to believe in a God that used to be okay with sacrificing people to him? I'm with you 100%. And I have a lot more to add to that. But let me see what else. What about, we talked about the gentleman who brought the African aspect. I have at least one Muslim friend. I have several. Well, what about when you're challenged to read another book and say, well, try mine? How do you approach that? Basically, when they say try mine, I say that I either have or am, and I am currently in the process of reading the Quran. Now, when they don't take that for an answer, and they usually don't, I never ask what most atheists ask, which is, prove your God is real. I always say, prove the other gods are not real.
Wow. That's a great response because the number one thing that they say is that, so where did you come from? How did the universe get created, and so on and so forth? And I think it's really sad that theists cling to these questions as a security blanket, because there was a time when we didn't know what it meant when a person sneezed, which is why we said God bless you, because we thought that someone might have put a hex on them. Now we know that there are cold germs. The cold virus resides in every human body. It's not a big deal. There's so many things that we're learning now that we didn't know before. And these same people that mock science for not having the answer right now of who created us, where we came from, and how our bodies function. Well, how our bodies function, they would know if they studied biology or anatomy, but where we came from, etc.,
these are the same people that take advantage of all of the advantages of science on a daily basis. They go on their computers, on the internet, laughably enough, to debate the falsehood of science with atheists, using scientific means. When their children or themselves are sick or injured, they go to the hospital. They don't pray it away. And God said, Jesus said, ask and you shall receive.
Amen.
Knock and it shall be opened. Ask and it shall be done unto you.
And how much faith?
Jesus said you could drink poison and have a faith the size of a grain of mustard seed.
I wish I had a witness up in here.
Yeah. You didn't need big faith. All you needed was faith the size of a grain of mustard seed, and that would be enough to get you by. That could solve all of your problems. And even I, as an atheist, could muster up that amount of faith if I actually thought it was going to do anything for me.
Okay.
There are so many, articles and links of faith healing getting people killed.
Right. There's so much to ask. We have about 3 minutes left in the extra overtime session, which I'm hoping is being recorded so I can post it up with your permission, of course.
Of course, no problem.
The church that you used to belong to that you was at not too long ago, do they know and what's going on over there?
The friends that I had at the church, some of the kids that I used to volunteer at with their youth group that I'm Facebook friends with, they know. One actually befriended me for it. The kid had a lot of anger issues, and even the posts that I had that weren't directly related to religion, he took issue with. A good friend of mine who also happened to be my confirmation sponsor, she knows, I'm pretty sure in her mind she sees it as me on that path, and it's just a stage, and I'll grow out of it. My mom knows. We never talk about it beyond the first time that I told her in depth, because she knows how well I know the Bible. And she doesn't want to debate some of the aspects of the Bible that she takes issue with, because she always told me if she read a verse in the Bible that she didn't like, she would just assume that someone had added it in there to kind of test her faith, and it was man-made and it was not God's word. So she was kind of picking and choosing what parts of the Bible to believe, even though the Bible itself says that it should be taken in its entirety.
Okay.
And, she was picking and choosing what she should believe and what she shouldn't believe. Okay. Another woman who taught my confirmation class, Cheryl and I, we're still friends. We talk every once in a while. She's actually married to one of the church's deacons, who's also a really great guy. I mean, my church home was really, really, I didn't have a bad experience with one of the priests or the deacons or any of the members of my church. They were all really, really great people.
I have a really quick question before I forget. I'm sorry. With Haitians like you and I came from Haiti too when I was about 9 years old. Once we get exposed to all these different culture, information, whatever, how come there aren't naturally more or less more atheists? I mean, how come more people are not like us? I mean, you have the educational system, you have more or less more information, you have YouTube. What's up?
I think it's fear. I think there's a lot of fear, not just in Haitian culture, but in black culture, the diaspora culture particularly. I think this fear has carried on through generations as a result of slavery, where you're afraid to experience something new and open your mind to a new prospect, just as the slaves were afraid of running away from their master's house, because, they could get freedom, or they could get caught by the slave catcher and sold to somebody worse. So it's that same fear, except this one is a psychological fear, and those chains are harder to break. And the fear is not just of what if I let go of my religion, but what will my family say, what will my friends think, what will my husband or my wife, my brothers, my sisters, when you leave a religion. For a lot of black people especially, even those who are not as devout, you have committed social suicide.
Roger.
My sister knows, and it's not an issue for us. My best friend, one of my best friends, I almost lost her over it. We know each other since middle school, and she said that she couldn't, the idea of being friends with someone who wasn't Christian